guys, it's your girl Sierra. Welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be about Shay Powers, the good girl of Degrassi Next Class. So let's start off with who is Shay Powers. So Shay Powers is first seen season 4, episode 1. She is part of Next Class. She is a runner. She's a track star, you know. She's best friends with Frankie and Lola. She's the only child, and she is Tiny's girlfriend. Her parents are, I think her dad was from what I remember, her dad was like an engineer, and her mom was like a professor or something like that, a writer. Her parents are Black excellence, so let's just put it at that. I mentioned this before in my last video, but I had to, this is when I really saw it, was when I was doing all of these notes for Shay, and that is the Black female characters and monogamy. Because literally, when I was writing notes on Shay, I'm like, okay, she dated Tiny, and that's when I was like, wait, why are all the Black female characters only dating one guy? Interesting. So that'll be one of the other videos. I think it's the next video. I don't freaking remember. But yeah, let's start off with the beginning. So Shay is introduced in Degrassi along with Frankie and Lola. She is part of the cheer team in season 14. So she's therefore a part of the infamous Degrassi nude situation that Zoe started, which I'm gonna have to do a whole separate video on Zoe because I cannot stand that character, but that's for another day. And she had a crush on Dallas at the time, and she did try to kiss him. So that was mainly her introduction to the show. She did try to like tell Allie, like, I guess like, oh, no, she wasn't even like trying to tell Allie anything. She was like trying to gauge Dallas from Allie, see like if he was single or whatever, because she was into him. She had a crush on him. She tried to kiss him. But clearly Dallas is like, whoa, Allie's my girl. Even though Allie wasn't fully his girl at the time, but you know what I mean. I think, no, they were together. I can't remember. It was a complicated relationship between Allie and Dallas. But anyway, let's jump to Degrassi Next Class. So starting off with the first topic, which is body image. In season 1, episode 1 literally, which is called #booty-call. As Lola would say, #blessed. Shay struggles with her body as she is attracted to Tiny, but here's the thing. Lola tells her that he seems to like girls with butts. Like, she scrolls through this Hastygram, which is their equivalent to Instagram, and she's like, oh, all he does is like butts. It's just butts for that guy. She's like, butts are the new boobs, thank God. I love Lola, but girl, at that moment I was just like, oh God, he's something else. But I feel like that was really at the height of like the Instagram baddies. So, you know, that's when we started to get like the Kardashians taking over with all of the procedures done. Allegedly, whatever. We know, whatever. Anyway, but it was just the height of the Instagram baddie where everybody is like, you know, wearing Fashion Nova. Everyone's butt is the size of Pluto. Either it's, you know, adjusted through filters, or they actually went to go get plastic surgery, went to go get it done. But either way, like, we couldn't see you couldn't scroll for like 2 minutes without seeing someone's ass. Like, it was insane. It was a time. And so she starts to actually feel insecure about her body. As Lola said before, that she looks like a little boy, and so Shay is like, I do look like, it's like, I am built like a little boy. She's like, oh my God, I don't look like those girls. First of all, that's when we get the whole situation of the difference of, these are young women, probably like in their 20s, versus teenagers. It's like, babe, you don't look like that yet anyway, because you barely started puberty. Your body hasn't really changed all that much. You go through 2 puberties technically as a woman. You go through 2 puberties. So you barely experienced the first one. You gone through half of the first one. You haven't had to experience the freshman 15, like, or even just like anything like that where you do gain weight. So of course Shay didn't look like that, but she got really insecure about that. So she ends up putting padding in her butt, and it's like, not like the butt pads, which would make more sense. It's the padding from pillows, the stuff. Yeah, the stuffing like that. She actually got it from her mom. It's cotton pads. There we go. Because her mom was a nurse. So she stole cotton pads and she shoved them in her butt. That scene still makes me laugh to this day when I was rewatching it. Because literally when she walks into class, it's all so like lopsided and big and it doesn't look normal. And then so Frankie and Lola, they're like walking past her classroom with Tiny because they both had science together. And they actually end up going in there and helping her adjust to try to make it normal as possible. And it doesn't look normal still. It still doesn't. So as she's trying to not turn around because it does look weird, and she thought that Tiny saw the post that Lola put up of Shay with her big butt, which is really just a filter. And ultimately come to find out that Tiny doesn't even follow Lola on Hastygram, and immediately she's like, excuse me, because she's like really popular on there, so she's deeply offended. So Shay doesn't even like mention anything else about the butt situation. She's just like, okay, never mind, forget about that. They end up actually going out, and or at least going out on a date, or possibly going on a date. It was kind of weird because he did ask her out, and she was like, I need to ask my parents, and so she was like, ugh. You know what it was like when you first like was planning to go on a date with a guy or a girl, whoever you were into, and it was that dance of like, oh, I do want to go on this date, and then your parents being like, oh, we need to meet them. It's like, do you really need to meet them? Because I feel like that's unnecessary. Like, it's very awkward and uncomfortable. But yeah. And I would also say, like, this is part of my notes, but like at that point, with just the comment at the beginning and also the comment of her looking like a little boy, Lola was getting on my nerves. Like, immediately, like, this is our somewhat of an introduction to her. She was also in season 14, but she didn't have that much of a role. But she made me mad at this point, because I'm like, girl, why would you tell your friend she looks like that? And second of all, why you're like, oh yeah, finally now butts are the new boobs. Like, oh my God, thank God. Rude. Like, so unnecessarily rude. But I digress. Moving on to the next point, which is the love triangle. So Shay is into Tiny. But when Shay and Tiny, I guess they did go out on their date, or they didn't, and Shay is just like still uncomfortable with that because her parents told her she can't date till college, which is typical Black families. Being like, you cannot date, you cannot have a boyfriend until you're 18 years old, until you grown. And then when you get grown and then you don't have nobody, they're like, we ain't have no grandbabies yet. It's like, when was I supposed to date? Like, make it make sense. So now that Shay isn't allowed to go out with Tiny, Lola is on the phone with her, and she admits to having a crush on Tiny for like forever. Whatever, girl. And so Shay is like, oh, okay. And so Lola's like, would it be okay if I asked Tiny out? Obviously Shay is hurt because she really liked Tiny, and it was pretty obvious that Tiny liked Shay, or at least, still likes Shay. But she ends up pretty much giving up her crush for her friend, because ultimately Lola liked him first. But still, like, that's when it gets very muddled and complicated for friends, when you like the same guy. And then in this situation, Shay was too nice. She was such a good girl. She followed her parents' rules of not dating till college. Girl, it is so easy to sneak around. Like, you could have found a way. But she's a good girl. She didn't want to do anything like that. She actually brought up Tiny to her parents, talking to them about it. She felt very comfortable to do that, but she doesn't feel comfortable to go around it, obviously. That's not who she is. And now to give up Tiny, it hurts. But she's a good girl. She's a good friend. So complicated. And then Lola and Tiny, they're together for a little bit. They go on a date. But Tiny's friends think Lola's too immature. There's a whole separate situation in there with toys and stuff. So they end up not staying together, clearly. And Tiny is still very much interested in Shay. And somehow, I think Shay introduces Tiny to her parents. I forgot the details. I don't think they really shared that much of how that went down. But all of a sudden, they were together. And they were like the it couple. But anyway, they do get together. They're very happy. And Lola, it never truly gets over it, so she starts posting pictures on Hastygram of her and Tiny when they were together, with like, you know, kind of like side-eye type of captions, where you're like, girl, like, I thought that was your friend. Like, I get it, you're hurt too, but it wasn't because of anything. It wasn't because you couldn't, it was because you guys weren't a mesh for each other. It was just too complicated for both of you guys, because I think Tiny, at the time, I think they were juniors. Yeah, I think they were juniors at the time. Tiny, Zig, Maya, I think they were all juniors. And Lola, Frankie, and Shay, I think they were freshmen, or at least sophomores. I think they were still freshmen, I think. So it was just like, it was just a difference for them. And also probably just Lola's person. It was just two different personalities. Like, Tiny was more of like a chill dude. He's smart. But he's like a more reserved version of Vince. If you remember Vince is the one that shot Drew. Anyway, but Tiny is very much a calmer version. So he's just like very to himself. He likes to hang out with his friends. He doesn't like to do too much. Lola is very expressive, very colorful, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just two different personalities. It didn't mesh well. It just didn't work out, and that's completely fine. But to post pictures of you and your ex-boyfriend while your best friend is not with him, it's just weird and it's just disrespectful. Like, I understand that you're hurt, but girl, there's a time and a place. But even Shay doesn't even really like point it out. She kind of just like lets it happen. I think it was Frankie that was kind of like, Lola, girl, what are you doing? Playing more into the fact that Shay is just the good girl. She's the good friend. She's not going to rock the boat. Non-confrontational. That's just who she is. And I'm like, I get it, but girl, I would have put her in her place, because I've been like, ma'am, you're not posting that kind of content. No. Either get over it and move on at this point, because it just didn't work out. Oh well. Moving on to her track career. So, like I said, she's a runner. She's a track star. And I love me an ambitious girly, but she did overdo it a lot. She reminded me very much of Katie when it came to her running. And it got to the point where I think it was like she missed her cycle, and I think she was going to take some pills or something like that. I can't remember the fine details, but there was some implication of that, of putting a lot of pressure on herself to the point where she missed her cycle, being very stressed out. She was also dating Tiny at the time, so she was like, hopefully I'm not pregnant. But it was just a lot of stress on her body and pushing it too hard to the point where she overworked herself. And then we get to the last situation of why Shay is too much of a good girl. She's the good girl. She's the good friend. And that is the main point. This is the main point of seasons 2/3, which is pretty much ultimately the end of the Degrassi Next Class. Because, you know, it was on Netflix. Of course it was going to end at some point, because it ended up on Netflix. And that is the Northern Tech incident. For those who do not know, or for those who do not want to remember, I'm going to remind you right now. The Northern Tech incident was when they were going against Northern Tech in volleyball. And Frankie and Lola were like, oh my God, they're scary. You know, we don't want to go against them. Oh my God, it's gonna be like a scary match or whatever. And first of all, this school is called Northern Tech. I would think the school was like very like elite. It's called Northern Tech. Like, I'm just saying, I'm thinking it's very much a STEM school. But you know, the reason why they said they're scary or whatever is because their team was majority like black people, black, Hispanic. I think there was maybe one white person on the volleyball team at Northern Tech, maybe. I can't remember the crowd, but it was mostly black people. It was like black and Hispanics. And they ended up, I think Northern Tech pranked them, and so they pranked Northern Tech back by making a mural. And since the school is called the Zoo, a lot of racist implications, they actually made the volleyball team as zoo animals, and they made the coach, not the coach, but the head player, team captain, there you go. They made the captain as monkeys. Well, they made majority of the monkeys, to be quite honest, in the mural. And it was Frankie who was the one who ultimately made that decision. So when Northern Tech finds the banner and they bring it back, and they're like, we're not playing with a whole bunch of racists. Frankie's like, what do you mean? Cue the white woman tears, like cue the white girl tears. My God. And immediately they're like, we want an apology. Like, no, we're not gonna play you because of this kind of stuff. And so Frankie's over here with her white girl tears, being like, oh my God, that's not what I meant. Shay, can you handle it for me? Why does Shay have to do it? Again, the disproportionate emotional work. Why does Shay have to be the one to apologize? Why does Shay have to do that emotional work? Because it was Frankie's fault. Go upstairs, sir. Jaden, I am filming. I am on video 2.
What is that?
My light. Goodbye. Stop. Oh my God.
Hello?
Okay, bye.
Hello? So we're gonna be unboxing the Godzilla toy.
I don't know, because you almost broke my stand.
Huh?
You heard me.
Huh?
Huh?
What do you say?
Goodbye.
What do you
Anyway,
say?
bye.
What do you say?
Don't worry about it. Keep going. Bye.
Will you fix it?
No. And do not touch it.
But what do you say? I did not hear you.
Come here. Got stuff on your lip from your yogurt.
What do you say?
I'll let you know later. Goodbye. Go, because you're making me waste my battery and I'm trying to film. Go, go, go.
Soon we're going to be unboxing the Godzilla toy. See you.
Ooh, kids aren't true. Making that, so she was pretty much making that Shay's problem and Shay's responsibility when it was not. And yet Shay actually met up with the team captain to apologize. And the team captain is like, why are you here? Because I know you didn't do it. I know you didn't have a say in it. This would be a completely different conversation if you did. But your team captain was in charge. Your team captain made that decision. Why am I talking to you? Where's your captain? Which, valid point. Valid point. Why are you here? And Shay apologizes for Frankie and being like, oh, I know. She's like, she's not racist or whatever. It's like, girl. But this is not a good look. This is not a good look for you. This is not a good look for Frankie. I would reevaluate that relationship, that friendship, ASAP, literally. Like, literally, the moment Frankie turned to you and said, can you handle it? I've been like, excuse you, ho. You must have lost your ever-loving damn mind, because now I'm not handling nothing. This is a you situation. But Shay is nice. She's a good girl. She wants to try to settle the differences. And she's not confrontational, but the fact that she did sit down with her just shows that she is able to communicate and to have those difficult conversations, but not with people that are close to her. Like, she doesn't want to rock that kind of boat. And it kind of reminded me of something Hunter would do in Ginny and Georgia. They're very similar. So I feel like with Shay, she just didn't want to, rock the boat. She didn't want to confront Frankie about this. I don't know how long they had been friends, her, Frankie, and Lola, but it's like, it's when certain things like that come up as a black girl, as a Black person, you start to really like reevaluate your friendships. And these could be friendships you've had for 10 years and you've never ever heard them have like make certain comments before. And then all of a sudden something comes out, you're like, Art? Is that how you really feel? And you have to reevaluate the entire friendship, and you don't know whether to immediately just cut the friendship off, make it a teaching moment. Like you don't know what to do, and especially for a teenage girl, that is a huge change and a huge like slap in the face coming from a friend. It's not as simple as if you're an adult, you're like, oh, I can just cut you off. Okay, then fine. We ain't gotta be friends no more because of this, that, and the third. Like you could have been friends with somebody from like teenage to adulthood, but I feel like with adulthood you have that confidence and you have that independence to cut somebody off. Because especially if you're not extremely codependent on them, like if you don't have to see them every day, you just talk to them or you can catch up whenever you can, like it's still gonna hurt, but it's not as bad as like a teenage friendship. Because all teenage friendships are codependent in some type of way. And for them, they were very much like a trio. They did stuff together. They became cheerleaders together. They probably went to the dot several times together. They probably had sleepovers all the time at Frankie's house. So it was like a wake-up call for Shay when it came to evaluating their friendship. So that's how I took that as, and it's tough with being in that kind of situation and being that good girl, being that good Black girl, you know, the one that doesn't make waves, who just lets things slide. You're not confrontational. You make excuses for people who are blatantly racist or blatantly make racist comments. And so it's hard. It's a hard place to be in, especially if you've grown up in a predominantly white community. You grew up in the suburbs and your friends don't have the experiences that you have. Because also, Lola is Hispanic and she made comments like that. So from what I hear and from what we've seen of Lola, we haven't seen anything of Lola's life, but from how Lola made that comment of that they're scary, Lola probably lives a privileged life as well, as privileged as possible, where it's like her race isn't a huge factor. Also because she is of lighter skin too. So she probably passes. Probably speaks Spanish at home, English out in the streets, but she feels very comfortable. She has colored hair. She is so immersed in her world and she feels so comfortable and accepted of who she is that she doesn't have that experience that Shay would have. Yeah. So what lessons did we learn today? Because I do want to try to end these later videos with like some lessons that we have learned along the way from these characters. And I guess I would say the lesson that we would learn from this story is don't let people walk all over you, first of all. Stand up for yourself. Put some bass in your voice, okay? And it's okay to branch out with your friendships, because it seemed like Shay was scared to try to branch out and become friends with other people when this situation came up, because literally they are the trio of their show, of their generation, of their age group, versus like Zig, Maya, Grace, and Jonah, which is like the quartet of their year. It really just felt like Shay could have used some other friends, but it was something that we never got to see. I would have loved to have seen that, see Shay make friends with other people. And with the whole situation with her and Frankie, it would have been very interesting to see her like actually like be like, no, Frankie, I'm not standing up for you. I'm not apologizing for you. You need to do that yourself. You're the one that made that decision. And so if you can't own up to what you did, then we can't be friends. I would have been very interesting to see her do something like that, but we did not get the opportunity to. So if you like this video, be sure to like this video. Comment below anything that you would love to share about Shay, your opinions, maybe a specific scene that stood out to you that you would love to just add more to the conversation. But yeah, until next time, stay magical. Bye.